All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you for taking the time out to be on our call today. We're going to be talking about critical illness insurance, and the more we get into the year, we find that we're getting asked more and more about critical illness, and it's something that we really focused on as far as an accelerated benefit, but not a standalone product. And so what we want to do today is have Assurity Life, Nick Yassa, talk to us about some of the benefits and features and some good sales ideas and strategies that we can go out and use to grow this line of business. I'm Doug Mitchell with Ogletree Financial, and we're an outfit here in Auburn, Alabama, but we've got agents all over the country. Some of you are already doing business with us, some of you are not. But I do want to introduce, at the end of the call, we're going to throw a screen up, and then you'll get an email reminder about the webinar today. But David Whitehead and Jimmy Pyron out of Mississippi actually handle our critical illness benefits and our mortgage protection. So, you definitely want to jot our number down at the end of the call here and give these guys a call. Find out how you can get set up with selling Assurity critical illness with us, and talk to David and Jimmy about any of our lead programs that might be available to you, or any questions that you might have on that. So Nick, with that being said, I'm going to hand it right over to you and let you take it away.
Good deal. Thanks, Doug. And thank you, everybody, of course, for taking some time out of the day to be on the call. I think my goal at the end of the 20 minutes or so that I'm going to cover is that everyone on the line will be able to have one or two ideas or one or two sales strategies to go out there and pick up the phone right now and contact current clients and start a conversation about critical illness. I want to thank Ogletree Financial as well. This is a product that is critical illness is fairly new to the industry. We're still looking for, from a carrier standpoint, a lot of marketers or partners like Ogletree that will step up to the plate and bring something new and different to their distribution. So this is definitely a value-added piece that Ogletree provides, and everybody on the line is going to have the opportunity to learn more about a way to go out there and bring a good new coverage to your client, as well as find some new ways to generate some income for yourself. Now, Doug had talked about in the past that Ogletree has really pushed and promoted using critical illness as an acceleration of benefit inside of other policies, and that's great. Essentially, you're able to tap some of the funds that are in your death benefit, but be able to use them as a living benefit, if you're diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke. However, I want to show you today a strategy that's going to allow you to take that concept even further, and that is an individual critical illness policy. So first off, what is critical illness, and how does it, what type of protection are we providing here? Well, critical illness is a coverage that works a lot like life insurance in that it does pay a lump sum benefit upon the first ever diagnosis of a covered condition or procedure. So it works kind of like life insurance in that you are getting a lump sum amount tax-free to do whatever you want to do with. The bright side is you don't have to die in order to get it. And again, when we talk about covered conditions, there's many of them, but the big three that we talk about is cancer, heart attack, and stroke. I want everyone right now to think of, close their eyes and picture a person that they know, that has suffered cancer or been diagnosed with cancer or suffered a heart attack. What's that person look like? Luckily, and hopefully, that person is still alive. However, they did have to go through the pain and the stress of chemotherapy or, going through that heart attack. And now think of that person that's in your mind. Would a check for $25,000 cash have helped that person out? And again, that is why critical illness is needed. It's needed because people are many times surviving these critical illnesses, the cancers, the heart attacks, that 20, 30 years ago we used to die from. But so that's the good news, is they're surviving. The bad news is that survival is very, very expensive. Even if you have a great major medical program, you're still looking at deductibles, out-of-pocket costs. Perhaps you have to travel across the country for treatment. you know, your major medical does not cover hotels, airplanes, things like that. Quick example of that, very, very good friend of mine's mother here in Lincoln, Nebraska was diagnosed with a brain tumor. You know, she had great medical coverage. We have a good medical system here in Lincoln and Omaha. However, the best brain surgeon, or I guess folks that deal with brain tumors, are out in Raleigh, North Carolina at Duke University. So each quarter, Nancy and her husband or her daughter would fly out to Duke University, stay there for a week, go through treatments, and fly back. The major medical coverage covered the treatments while she was there, did not cover the week of hotel rooms, airfare, lodging, the time that it took her daughter or her husband off of work to go out with her, where a critical illness policy would have picked up some of those extra costs. What you see here is Dr. Marius Bernard. Critical illness also has an interesting story in that Dr. Marius Bernard is the founder and creator of critical illness. So an insurance carrier, an actuary, we did not invent this policy or this coverage. It was actually invented by a doctor. He assisted his brother, Christian Bernard, in the first ever successful heart transplant in South Africa back in the late 1970s. Now, Dr. Bernard realized that his patients' successful treatments were tainted due to the financial burden that they were enduring during recovery. So what Dr. Bernard said was, let's find a way to help ease that financial burden and stress. Therefore, critical illness was born. What's interesting and really a great door opener when kind of starting to talk about to your friends or your colleagues about critical illness is the following. The premise here is to explain the reality that many events can happen in one of two ways. All right, things happen that are either insured, like a car wreck, house break-in, house fire, or uninsured. For example, a break-in to a client's home can be an insured or uninsured, with the insured break-in being less devastating. In the same way, a health emergency while traveling, for example, can be either insured or uninsured, with the insured emergency being, of course, again, less devastating. Most people, thanks to societal momentum, already know that the insured option exists so that you can purchase insurance. Most don't know that there are also two types of cancer diagnosis. There's the insured and the uninsured kind. Most don't know that there are two types of heart attacks. You can have a heart attack that's insured or a heart attack that's uninsured. This question can really open the dialogue. Use this question. Do you know that there are two types of cancer diagnosis now in Canada, for example? And again, the two types are going to be the type that's uninsured or the type that is insured. The type of cancer or heart attack that is insured, of course, is one who has a critical illness policy. The events are exactly the same. When you think about someone breaking into your home and stealing everything, this causes tremendous damage to your property. The event's exactly the same whether you have insurance or not. The impact on you and your family's finances, emotions, and general well-being, though, is dramatically different. Everyone knows that an insured break-in is better than an uninsured break-in. But 99% of people we come across understand that there are two types of cancer, insured and uninsured. And we can have that conversation. Let's talk about another kind of sales concept when it comes to critical illness, or an icebreaker. It's a great question to sit down and, you know, the question being, what happens when people get cancer, have a heart attack, or stroke? The question hasn't changed. You know, you go through periods of excitement, of being scared, what's going to happen, am I going to be okay? The answer used to be that, oh, you're diagnosed with cancer, well, you're going to die. And 6 or 7 months down the road, you delivered a life insurance benefit to the beneficiary. However, due to medical science, technology, medications, when someone's diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke, they have a very, very good chance of surviving. But, of course, having to battle through the illness. Modern planning has now provided a new reality and provides funding for the living part, for surviving. And advisors such as yourself can distinguish and differentiate yourselves from other advisors or agents out there by saying that you can provide a modern planning as opposed to the old dated planning, which of course is just selling strictly life insurance. There are a lot of agents out there getting in and talking with new prospects and talking about new modern planning versus that old school insurance planning. And again, talking about options and ideas of what were to happen if you were diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke. Again, the old planning is more the life insurance, planning not for survival but for death. The new modern planning, well, it's both critical illness and life insurance, and that's where we can have an impact. Most clients have only ever been showed the old school insurance planning. I want to show you how you can introduce the new type. Essentially, today's world is different, so our solutions, needing life and critical illness, must be different than the old school mentality and planning. A great story about Albert Einstein. His assistant came in when they were giving an exam. His assistant came in and said to Albert, "There's been a horrible mistake. The questions on the exam are the same as last year." Einstein said, "Well, the questions are the same, but the answers are completely different." And again, this is where you can have a huge impact on your clients. Most clients have only been shown the old way or last year's test when it comes to planning. I want to show you how to show them something new and different. So that's kind of the philosophy of critical illness. Let's talk about the products themselves and what we offer here at Assurity Life. We offer two products in our portfolio. First is our simplified product, which offers between $5,000 to $50,000 in coverage. The simplified product does not involve a paramed exam. Then we have our fully underwritten critical illness policy, which offers the higher benefit levels from $50,000 to $500,000. The basics to the simplified product, it's an accept, reject application. And as I said, there's no medical exam required. Our goal is to issue this policy within 4 business days using the application, pulling an MIB, and a prescription drug check. The product covers 12 conditions, cancer, heart attack, stroke being the big 3, and is guaranteed renewable to age 75. I'll repeat that again. It's not a term product. It's guaranteed renewable to age 75. And 5 riders are available, as you can see below, for an additional premium. So let's talk a little bit about the difference in underwriting and kind of what simplified underwriting actually means. The simplified product has a short application, as I mentioned, is an accept, reject decision, and really is more liberal regarding health history and family history compared to the fully underwritten policy. The fully underwritten policy is much more rigid due to the fact that the product is actually guaranteed renewable for life, and we're looking at higher benefit amounts. A prospect who has a health history similar to that of an issued preferred life case can be a good fit for the fully underwritten policy. Now, I talked about how there's 12 covered conditions. Those conditions are divided into 3 categories. The first category covers cancer. The second category covers stroke and heart attack. And the third is our other category. Now, if an insured should suffer one of the conditions in a category, such as cancer, for example, and it's, of course, the first ever diagnosis, Assurity is going to pay 100% of the scheduled benefit amount. So for this example, let's say we have a $10,000 benefit. They're diagnosed with cancer. That's covered in Category 1. They're going to receive a check for $10 grand. If they continue to pay the premiums and suffer a condition from a different category, let's say a heart attack, for example, they will again receive 100% of the scheduled amount, or $10,000 in this example. Now, let's say someone is very unfortunate and they suffer a condition from the remaining categories, such as coma. They could again collect 100% of the benefit amount. So basically, in the example I just gave, this policy can ultimately pay 3 times, turning a $10,000 benefit into a $30,000 benefit. So this is not a one and done type of policy, but it can pay multiple or up to 3 times, depending on the covered condition. I've touched a little bit about fully underwritten. Fully underwritten is from a concept standpoint, extremely similar to our simplified product, but with more covered conditions and a fully underwritten application, which means we are doing a medical exam with fully underwritten based on their age and amount of coverage applied for. Now, this policy is actually guaranteed for life. So if you have a client that would be considered in a preferred underwriting class on a life case, they're probably going to be a great fit for the fully underwritten critical illness. We also see fully underwritten critical illness written in the higher income markets because the benefit amounts do go up to $500,000. We also see it a lot of times used in a key man or buy-sell agreements as well. Now, I will say the underwriting is more strict, and family history does play a larger role, again, because the policy is guaranteed for life, and we're typically looking at higher benefit amounts. Again, the 3-category approach is also available on the fully underwritten CI. Categories 1 and 2 are exactly the same categories as in simplified critical illness. However, Category 3, we do add about 8 additional illnesses that are covered in Category 3. Okay, so now we have kind of given you a little background on why critical illness exists and why there's the need. Gave you a little taste of what the 2 different products look like here at Assurity. So let's talk a little bit about what I like to call the 4-question CI meeting. Or, you may be asking, hey, how do I start the conversation? Well, this is an absolutely fantastic presentation based on 4 simple questions to start with your insured. Number 1, you simply ask, do you know anyone who has been diagnosed with cancer or heart attack or stroke? Everybody knows somebody who has. That person will say, yes, my neighbor Bill. Well, was it expected? And the key here is to emphasize the randomness of health. Often the healthiest person you know can suffer a heart attack or cancer. I'm just thinking a couple people in pop culture. I know Lance Armstrong's under some hot water right now, but he was diagnosed with testicular cancer back in his 20s. Here's a world-class athlete, probably the healthiest person you'd ever think of, diagnosed with cancer before the age of 30. The third question, was there unplanned emotional or financial strain that went along with this diagnosis? Now, you want to make sure that we don't want to limit this to just being a medical or a financial product with critical illness. It's a product that provides options that alleviate stress. And finally, the 4th question, would cash have helped in Bill's situation? Cash doesn't always make it something better, but I think we all know that cash does help. It doesn't buy you happiness, but it helps. So let's start with kind of how, again, to give you a rundown of the 4 questions. I know advisors and agents out there who are having tremendous success breaking it down to these 4 questions. Again, question 1, who do you know, or do you know someone who has had cancer, heart attack, and stroke? And who was it? Did they plan on it, or was it unexpected? Again, you're trying to get the randomness there. Question 3, was there unplanned emotional strain or household or business strain while they were dealing with the illness? And finally, question 4, would cash have helped? Would $25,000 in their bank account made things a little easier? Here's another great pivoting strategy when you're talking to somebody about life insurance. Again, we restate the rationale for life insurance. And again, that's to provide the similar lifestyle for your loved ones as if you were still around. And what it does is now we're asking, what if an event did not take your life? Would you have different goals for your family? We also want to emphasize here that the purpose is to emphasize to the prospect that with respect to surviving a major diagnosis, they, unlike in life insurance, will be alive and around to see how their purchase of critical illness impacts their family. That's what's unique about critical illness. It's one of the few insurance policies out there that, in the life insurance world anyway, that the beneficiary doesn't have, or the insured is also the beneficiary. So if you think about how this would work, if you think about your life insurance client, why did they take out life insurance in the first place? You'll recall that we put into place that life insurance was put into place because if you have a major health crisis and passed away, your mortgage would be paid, for example, or that your kids would get to go to college, that your wife would be left debt-free. Those are all good reasons why we buy life insurance. What if we then say, what if a major health scare didn't take your life? Again, are these goals different? Do you still want to stay in your home? Do you still want to see your children go to college? All of a sudden, good news, all of a sudden we have good news. If you do suffer cancer, heart attack, or stroke, you don't pass away, you're still going to be able to stay in your home, fund your kids' education, keep your retirement in place because you have some liquid dollars in the form of a critical illness benefit. Another strategy on how to leverage life insurance discussion or meeting into a CI discussion is most people, especially young folks, buy life insurance not because they think or they want a death to happen soon. They usually buy it. As it's the right thing to do, or essentially it'd be irresponsible that they don't have it. So let's take a look at your current clients who are looking at life insurance, or your current clients who think who just bought life insurance. So we're talking about your current book of business. When you sit down with them again, or when you call them later today, ask them why they bought it. Ask them, did you buy it because you think it's about to happen, you think you're going to die? The response is going to be no. Simply then turn it around and ask them, did you buy it because you hope the event is going to happen? The response is definitely not. Nobody wants to die. Most people, when it comes to life insurance, they say, hey, I need to have it because if I don't have it, it would be completely irresponsible and burdensome to my family to not have owned it. I want to stay in my home. It's not that people buy it at age 40, life coverage at age 40, because they think they're going to drop in the next 5 years or so. They go, if the remote unthinkable happens in the next 5 years and I didn't do this, that's completely irresponsible. I need to have life insurance. So again, you can ask, what's more likely? Statistics on the likelihood of death versus critical illness at various ages is interesting. There's a reason why term insurance over the years has gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. It's because we're living longer. Life insurance carriers are least likely to pay out on a claim on life insurance. Try this. If you sit down and talk to your client and you say, what's more likely to happen, death or a hiccup or a major illness to your health? Hiccups such as cancer or heart attack. They're always going to select the latter. They can foresee themselves in the next 10 to 15 years being diagnosed with cancer or suffering a heart attack more than they can dying. Now, when you ask them that question and they pick the latter and they're already a life insurance client of yours, you have a great opportunity for a critical illness sale. And what's amazing is those people who already purchased life insurance, they're basically admitting, hey, I bought it even though I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't want it to happen. If we just ask them the following questions, it's a great way to open up that CI conversation, and that is, it's great, I admire you for purchasing life insurance. However, what's more likely in the short term to happen? Become an age-old prematurely and claim on your life coverage, or being diagnosed and survive and have to deal with a major illness. You know, a lot of people like to talk about stats. 1 in 4 men are diagnosed with testicular cancer. 1 in 6 females will have breast cancer before age 45. You know, stats are okay, but you don't need stats. We don't need that type of information. You ask any random person between the ages of 30 and 40, what's more likely? You pass away in the next 10 years or have to battle through cancer or heart attack or a major illness. I guarantee you everybody is going to say, it's more likely that I'm going to suffer cancer. I'll have to go through a major illness. Yet, we haven't taken the steps to present a solution to that problem until today. Now, I want to make sure that you understand that your current clients shouldn't cancel their life insurance because, again, it'd be irresponsible not to have life insurance. And they don't want to burden their family if that unexpected should happen. The more likely scenario, however, without a single statistic, is that everyone knows they are more likely to deal with a major illness and actually get through it than claim on their life insurance. And wrapping up here again, you can go back to that old versus new type of modern planning. With clients who only own life insurance and not CI, we need to talk about how they're really using their old insurance planning and how you think as a professional they should do a new or modern planning to compensate for the new realities of health. In Canada, where critical illness is extremely popular, some of the leading sellers of critical illness are the banks who are selling critical illness with each mortgage life sale. I know there's a lot of us on the line here that make our living selling life insurance as mortgage protection. That's great. Here's a new way to double your income, especially if a life client is yours. We talked about the old planning versus the new insurance planning. Critical illness can be really powerful. If you come across a client who only owns life coverage and has never been approached on critical illness, I would suggest you could say something to them such as, that's great old school insurance planning you have. I like to look at modern planning in my practice, which not only addresses the likelihood that you could pass away from a major illness, but the greater likelihood that you would actually survive. A couple other nice icebreakers or sales ideas when it comes to critical illness. Would you like the new or the old type of mortgage insurance? You know, someone's probably going to ask you, well, what do you mean by the old or new type? The old takes care of your mortgage in the event that you die. However, with the new, it will still pay the mortgage if you die, but also take care of the stress of the mortgage if you're diagnosed with cancer, heart attack, or stroke. I really like the new versus old type of mortgage protection, especially for you folks that are selling in the mortgage market. Here's a stat. I know I don't like stats, but this is one. Half of mortgage foreclosures in the U.S. are caused by disability, not by death. So what do you want, the old or the new? What do you think most people are going to say? Most people are going to say, show me the price for both. Even if you've never heard of insurance and you say one coverage will pay off your mortgage if you die, the other will pay it off if you die and pay it while you're batting illness, you're going to want that second option. Of course, you need to see the price if you're going to buy it. Another area where critical illness works very well in is if you're selling major medical coverage. If someone owns major medical, we can pivot off that major medical purchase to make a CI sale. The brakes airbag analogy I kind of like. It gets the client to answer the question of if their medical coverage should somehow do more or work differently if a major medical health crisis or diagnosis occurs compared to just having regular year-over-year medical costs. Most clients agree that something more should be available if the big stuff, cancer, heart attack, for example, happens. However, this is usually not the case. You can then position CI as a great supplement to their regular medical plan, such like an airbag to brakes or critical illness to a medical plan. We can also find some of the critical illness premium dollars by looking at larger deductibles on their medical plan, with the thought that insurance should be to protect downside. If you do not have CI, you do have a bigger deductible, but if something big happens, then you have a larger injection of money occurring. Lastly, I do want to emphasize those expenses that no medical plan anywhere is designed to pay. I kind of alluded to it at the beginning of our time together with the example of my friend's mother, like time off for a healthy spouse, flight passes, things like that. No plan out there covers those types of expenses except for a critical illness plan. Now, if people have current medical coverage, here's the question that I would ask them. You know, Mr. Client, we put this medical coverage in place, and it's going to do certain things for you if you have to deal with a medical crisis. But should there be more relief for you and your family if it's cancer as opposed to an ongoing medical condition that you're dealing with right now? Do you think something different should happen with your medical coverage if it's something big? Now, I know you have regular ongoing prescriptions and all kinds of things, and our medical plan works a certain way. If those pills need to be paid because of your anti-nausea treatment, do you think your plan should behave differently? Now, most medical plans are designed to be set up to pay medical bills in the following manner, you know, such as hospital, medications, things like that. But they don't always speak to if it's cancer, heart attack, or stroke. And again, a critical illness policy is going to offer you some additional funds. Another way that Assurity is going to make life easier for you guys is, of course, offering that critical illness policy, giving you something different to talk about, a new spin on selling life insurance, and opening the door to a CI sale. For you folks in the mortgage market, you know, you can really use the concept of the old type versus the new type of mortgage protection, and even, again, your major medical producers on the line, a way to, you know, supplement those higher deductible health plans. Just a few easy sales concepts that hopefully with the knowledge that you have of the product now, you're able to step up and contact some folks right away to talk about this coverage. Again, if you have any additional questions, please contact David or Jimmy over at Ogletree Financial. There's David's email address as well as the phone number for Jimmy, and they'll be able to help you further as far as getting additional training or help with the product, illustrating, quoting, all that good stuff. Another thing I do want to mention is all of our applications are available via eApp, electronic application for both the fully underwritten and the simplified critical illness product, so we can make it very easy from a paperless standpoint for you guys as well. Well, that is what I wanted to cover with you all today. I hope everybody picked up kind of on the gist of the product. Again, critical illness, designed by a physician, designed to give people, to create options for somebody who's going through cancer treatment, for example, providing a lump sum amount of money to do whatever you want to do with, guaranteed renewable or to age 75, and it can be used in a wide array of different types of selling strategies. So with that, I guess I'll turn it back over to Doug and the folks at Ogletree, and I really appreciate everybody's time and attention today. Thank you very much.
Hey, Nick, thanks a lot for that presentation. You know, guys, we're going to get an email out with the product guides attached to it, so you're going to have the simplified and the fully underwritten product guides. We're going to also attach a contract to that for Assurity, because if you're not already contracted with us, we really need to get you set up to sell this product. Once you get set up with Assurity, you're going to have just a wealth of information from their website. There are so many different training modules on every product that they offer, sales ideas, you know, neat little things that you can share with your clients and use with your clients to generate more business. So we're going to get that out to you as well. But if you have any questions whatsoever about the product or about the contract, please give David or Jimmy a call. The toll-free number is 800-466-8186, and make sure you hit option 3. That's going to ring over to Jimmy or David. So we want to thank you again for being on the call. Thanks for taking your time today to be with us, and we look forward to doing business with you. Thanks a lot. And Nick, thanks a lot. Thanks again for that presentation.
Thanks for the time, everybody. Have a great day.